It is Switch 2 launch week and Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, and of course, my very own Best in the Games Summer Showcase will begin tomorrow at 8 am Pacific, so there's an electricity in the air as players across the world look forward to exciting new announcements and reviews. As such, some developers have opted to push their release, but we have those brave souls that will launch their game. So let's begin with X Ghost, a compact turn-based arcade puzzle title where you as a spectral warrior manipulate a grid filled with advancing monsters using a deck of action cards. Each card allows you to push, swap, freeze, or obliterate enemies, where you aim to group similar enemies together for maximum destruction and higher scores. Optional quests adds constraints to your arsenal, offering score multipliers for those willing to take on added challenges, giving off some puzzle bobble or puzzle fighter vibes and looks great. The factory builder title Shapez 2 is already a huge hit while in early access, in part since they allow you to build in a 3D space with no constraints in terms of budget or space, and will get a massive update named Dimensions this week. Among many features, this will allow you to build multi-layered 3D platforms, overhauls the train system, adds global wire transmitters, as well as a bunch of quality of life improvements, and looks to become one of the best games in this genre. This video is brought to you by Galactic, the action roguelite space shooter with physics, which is releasing out of early access on June 3rd, 2025. The main mechanic here is a gravity gun, where you're able to grab asteroids, enemy missiles, or even other ships and launch them into your enemies. Each arena also has their own physics bubble, which you can use to slingshot objects. Additionally, the gravity gun can be used to rip components off enemy ships, disabling critical systems to give you the advantage. All of this is on top of your regular weapons, with the 1.0 version having more than 100 items and powers for you to craft your own build. It will also include a new final area named Cyber Void, with new playable ships, glitch bombs, glitch tokens, new room types, an expanded hub area, and much more, with the developer constantly listening to the community for feedback and suggestions, so if interested, get the game now on Steam. A charming, quirky auto-battler is Brawl To The West, one which mixes card-based combat with farming and monster taming, drawing upon Chinese mythology and folklore, and looks intriguing. You assemble a team by equipping magical gear, cultivating fruit trees, and taming creatures, each contributing unique abilities to your lineup. The game features 6 factions, over 40 characters, and more than 200 items, allowing for diverse strategies and combinations. Each run presents fresh challenges, with asynchronous ranked matches adding a competitive edge. Think Super Autopads and you get the idea. I believe this is from a Chinese developer, as evidenced by the Chinese characters in the trailer, but according to their Steam page, it will also be available in English, and hopefully localization issues will not get in the way, since this looks awesome. Bathhouse Creatures is a cozy management game where you run a whimsical bathhouse for talking animals. You'll scrub tubs, heat water with fire-breathing dragons, and decorate your space with items like rubber ducks and katana displays, all in a bid to make your establishment the most pleasant place for your customers to relax. Each level introduces new customers like mischievous ducks, yuzu-loving capybaras, and even members of the hippopotam mafia, each with their own preferences and stories. It's a smaller title with about 2 to 3 hours of story gameplay, but looks like a nice mix of managing bathhouse operations, catering to the needs of your customers, and uncovering more about their heartfelt stories, looking pretty charming and relaxing as a result. Love indie games? Sign up to my newsletter to get a weekly dose of what's hot, along with some news and of course, weekly game giveaways, so if interested, link is in the description below. Apparently, this next title has been in development for 12 years by a solo developer, so to say that it's a labour of love would be an understatement, in which Zefyr, A Thief's Melody, is a colourful 3D action-adventure game where you play as Eco, a young thief in training, exploring a vibrant archipelago. The game combines elements of exploration, stealth and combat, allowing you to climb cliffs, sneak past pirates, and engage in battles using a variety of tools like bows, bombs, and grapples. You can sail between islands on a giant turtle, cure sick animals with fruit, and uncover hidden collectibles like gemstones and paintings. The game features a feel-good atmosphere with a focus on non-punitive gameplay that encourages experimentation and discovery. Inspired by classics like Wind Waker and Beyond Good and Evil, it offers a nostalgic yet fresh experience, looking rather classic in terms of design, but then again, they don't quite make games like this anymore. Other games begin with Kaodi, a short, narrative-driven 2D action platformer where you play as Baron, a war veteran journeying home through a kingdom fractured by conflict. The world has been scarred by war, so you will encounter characters who offer diverse perspectives on loss, dignity, and forgiveness on your journey. Gameplay includes platforming and combat elements, as well as the inner world mechanic, which allows you to explore the character's inner thoughts and memories, influencing the narrative through your choices. Of course, the art style stands out, having some sweet pixel art and a distinctly monochrome color palette, which is difficult to pull off, which might be why this is going under the radar. Kill the Clock is a time loop mystery adventure set in a mid-1900s Europe where you relive the same week over and over again to solve a mystery that keeps changing. You play as a vengeful protagonist who, upon returning home, finds their nemesis already dead and themselves framed for the crime, kicking off this series of events where you must find out who the true culprit is. The game combines elements of visual novels, detective adventure games, and RPG mechanics, allowing you to customize your character, roll the dice to influence story outcomes, and uncover the truth before time resets again. Explore diverse locations, gathering clues, interrogating suspects, and using psychic readings to understand their true intentions. Most interestingly, the world seems to react to your actions since each playthrough offers new killers and methods, while the victim remains the same, which is different than other time loop titles. So I wonder how this will play out. This will be an early access release as well, with plans to add additional content including the final 2 chapters, more character routes, and expanded gameplay features, being kind of strange for a detective adventure game, but the premise is interesting enough and is the hidden gem of the week. We also have the digital board game adaptation of Neuroshima Hex, a name which I have heard of before but never had the chance to play in real life, being a fast-paced, turn-based tactics game set in a post-apocalyptic world where you command one of several unique factions vying for survival. Each match unfolds on a hexagonal battlefield where you strategically place units and module tiles to outmaneuver and outgun your opponents. With a diverse roster of armies, each with distinct playstyles and abilities, with digital conveniences like having CPU players to play against, and should be alright. I am by no means a marketing genius or anything of the sort, but I don't think that releasing your kart racing game in the same week as Mario Kart World is a good launch strategy, since presumably people interested in a kart racer would have that game bookmarked or pre-ordered, but yet that is exactly the case here with the Karters 2 Turbocharged. Sure, it is inspired by Crash Team Racing, so it might be offering something slightly different, but to the layperson, i.e. me, this looks like another high-speed kart racer that blends the chaotic fun of classic arcade titles with modern features and deep customization. Still, I suppose there will be people who are unable to get a Switch 2, and there's quite the amount of hype behind this game for good reason, since it looks good, so maybe they're onto something with this release strategy, and I'll be happy to be proven wrong. You can race solo or with up to 6 friends in split screen mode, or compete online with dedicated servers and ranked matchmaking, with player population of course being the main concern. There will be 16 diverse tracks and 6 battle arenas, which is a lot, each filled with hazards and shortcuts that reward skilled driving. A variety of weapons and power-ups adds to the excitement, allowing you to outmaneuver and outgun your opponents, with this, critically, having full Steam Workshop support, giving you access to custom tracks, characters and more, with a bunch of game modes as well, but will be an early access release. Truck driving simulators like Euro Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator are pretty popular, and while developer SCS Software is slowly moving across the continental United States through their DLC, it appears that this developer got fed up of waiting and decided to make their own, with Truck World Australia First Haul being a free prologue demo version for you to take this game for a test drive. It puts you behind the wheel of a massive big rig in the heart of the outback, where the road is long and the dust never settles, as you haul cargo from one place to the next. However, this isn't just about driving, it's also about surviving the wild red terrain of Australia. You'll face sandstorms that shake your cab, dirt tracks that swallow your wheels, and cargo that needs more than just a hookup, allowing you to step out of the truck in first person to manually secure the load, adjust trailer legs, and connect hitches by hand, giving it a more tactile feel. The game's dynamic weather system throws fog, rain, and heat your way, making each haul a test of grit. Inside the cab, every control is interactable, from the ignition to the gear shift, giving you full command of your vehicle. It should support steering wheel controllers as well, and the full version will have features like co-op support, but it's fascinating to see another entrant in this space, and I wonder how this will do. This one's for indie game developers. The free indie game marketing resources are ready, so sign up via the link in the description below to get it in your mailbox. Void Sayer is a dark, turn-based monster taming roguelite RPG set in a world consumed by the abyss. You play as a valiant warrior, fighting back against this malevolent influence spreading across the land, assembling a team of monsters, and venturing out into the darkness. This will have over 100 unique types of monsters, each with complex stats, genetic predispositions, and distinct personalities that will affect their performance. These monsters can be further enhanced with carefully selected gear and upgrades, and they can evolve into higher forms. Combat is your classic Pokemon-style turn-based combat with a variety of attacks, effects, and passives, combined with an easy-to-understand type system where elements like fire, water, and grass are strong and weak against each other. There is a node-based map like in Slay the Spire, filled with random events, combat, and perhaps merchants or the like, where bosses are not just souped-up versions of regular enemies, but will have unique game-changing levels of challenge. I'm thinking boss blinds in Balatro as a parallel, with there being a meta-progression settlement building system in between runs for permanent progression, and has one of the best art styles of the week. A curious entry this week is Parallel Experiment, a cooperative puzzle game set in a noir-inspired world where communication and teamwork are essential. You and a partner take on the roles of detectives, ally, and old dog, hunting down the dangerous cryptic killer as they suddenly become his targets and unwilling participants in this experiment. Each player receives different clues and perspectives, requiring you to collaborate and communicate in order to solve intricate puzzles. It will have 80 varied challenges, including redirecting water flows, deciphering ciphers, and soldering electronic components, with the whole co-op aspect being the most interesting part. Its distinctive comic book art style looks awesome, with additional activities like mini-games for a break from the main story. The cast of NPCs looks unique and will respond dynamically to each player, also allowing you to take notes and sketch solutions directly within the environment, and looks like a great puzzle game. The kicker, however, is that each player must have their own copy of the game either on mobile, tablet, PC, or Mac, with cross-play support, so do take note if you intend to play. An interesting RTS is Module War, where you control a shape-shifting alien organism named Module. Instead of building traditional bases and units, you grow, split, and merge living organs to adapt to ever-changing combat scenarios. Each organ, like acid glands, turrets, or brains, adds unique abilities, allowing you to customize your module to fit your strategic needs. Set on the alien world of Arcadia, the game features a story-driven campaign where your choices determine the fate of the module, who have been enslaved by invading human forces known as the ERE or Earth Repatriation Expedition. Will you continue to fight under the ERE or break free and fight back? Things are not as simple as it seems, since on top of the humans, there is another ruthless faction named the Chimera, with the module being but pawns in their conflict, offering two distinct campaign paths which should be neat. In addition to the campaign, there are other modes like multiplayer, arena, skirmish, and survival, each providing different challenges, being a different take on the RTS and could be neat. We also have the 1.0 release of Dragon is Dead, a dark fantasy pixel art roguelike platformer where you are fighting your way through a world corrupted by the last of the dark dragons. The game features procedurally generated levels, dungeons, a vast skill tree, and hundreds of gear combinations, encouraging you to experiment with different builds and strategies. With the 1.0 release, a new playable character, the Feral Hunter, joins the roster, offering a unique combat style as compared to the other characters, along with the final region and boss battle, new enemies, legendary and mythic level gear, an item quenching system which allows you to add new options to existing gear, as well as the all-important endgame nightmare difficulty, which adds 15 escalating levels with entirely new enemy attack patterns and mechanics, all with that sweet pixel art. I believe one of the reasons why we have a smaller week of new releases as compared to usual, in addition to the showcases and Switch 2 launch, is the release of Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4, a continuation of the first two free chapters and will be packaged as a paid product. This parallel story to Undertale already has a massive take over the internet kind of fandom, which only looks to explode after this release, so it's no wonder that other developers are getting out of the way, where I suppose the only news that could overshadow this release is the surprise drop of Hollow Knight Silksong, but we'll have to wait and see. Watch this video for the best games of the decade.